NewArtMusik presents Reflections.
Good morning, friends, amateurs, music lovers, art lovers, and students. Thank you for spending this wonderful Sunday with us. Today we have a wonderful program. We will be taking a little virtual trip all the way to England, where we will be talking with some of the composers that we will be listening to in the upcoming concert of the NewArtMusik online master series. I hope you enjoy it. Stay with us.
You're watching Reflections, your digital space for analysis and dissemination of today's musical creation.
Every year for the last 10 years, a group of contemporary music composers, we gather for 1 week in the southwest of England, in a small town close to the fabulous, well-known landmark of Stonehenge. In the small town of Sherborne, where all the beautiful things that are so characteristic of that town make a perfect environment for creating and composing. We gather together for a week and create beautiful music, and later we conclude our week with a wonderful concert of new music that is performed during the concert series of the Sherborne Summer Music Festival. This year we didn't want to break that tradition, so we did a virtual gathering, produced wonderful music, and produced a wonderful concert that it was aired the last month of August. However, just for the NewArtMusik audience, we have a new transmission of some of the best pieces of that concert. I hope you enjoy it. Today, we'll have the opportunity to talk with some of the composers that will be presenting their work in this upcoming wonderful concert of the NewArtMusik series. Stay with us. Here with us is Pamela Milner. Pam is a doctor in mathematics and a composer with a particular interest also in ecology. And she sometimes combines these two subjects in her music. She has written over 40 pieces and has been writing music for at least 18 years. She's also a cellist and she plays regularly in a chamber music ensemble of Wales. But let's hear from Pam what she can tell us about herself and about her music. Hello, Pam. I am so glad you could join us today.
Hello, I am Pam Milner and live in Mid Wales, UK. I tend to compose music for players and groups I know who will be happy to play my music. In recent years this has been local string players. My music is often inspired by nature. Rather than replicating the sounds of nature precisely, I like to indicate a feeling of being in the countryside. Dance is something else that gives me pleasure, and so during lockdown I composed a few dance movements. In general, I aim to have some unpredictability in my music and try to include some interest for players in all the parts. I tend to use tonality somewhere in my music and often rhythmic gestures. As I said, I am influenced by nature, also composers who use interesting rhythms. I was inspired by the different techniques and timbres used in Set Papillon. My trio uses repeated gestures and string crossings as in the workshop piece. I like the sounds of the bass clarinet and chose to use it in my piece to contrast with the string instruments. Life in the Hedgerow is based on 7 notes taken from a few words. In addition, glissandos and wide vibrato add to the frequencies. It has several short sections of varying length, ending with a coda. As I imagine it, my trio starts by setting the scene, evoking aspects of a hedgerow. Later, I experiment with air notes of the bass clarinet to represent wind in the trees and bushes. You may then hear creatures darting in and out. That's Life in the Hedgerow by Pamela Milner.
Our next composer today is Mark Levesley. He was born in America but has living now for many years in the UK and recently moved to Spain. He started composing at the age of 9 and got one of his big inspirations from Petrushka by Stravinsky. He has been composing music for over 40 years and have right now over 200 compositions, most of them for choir, for church choirs. He also enjoys playing the piano and bass. We can't stop mentioning here, he was the winner of the 1996 Amadeus Choir of Toronto Carol Writing Competition. But now let's hear from Mark. Hello, Mark. Thank you for being here with us today. It's a pleasure to see you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a science education writer by trade, so I spend most of my time writing science textbooks and related educational material for secondary school students. But I've always enjoyed exploring the links between science and maths and music, and that's where my interest in composition comes from. Over the years, I don't really think that I've developed any one particular style. More I sort of dabble and investigate different styles, and I think along with much of life you need to enjoy the journey that you're going on rather than just focusing solely on where you want to get to. So I'm still enjoying the journey, I'm still enjoying the exploration of music, of science, of maths. I've recently moved to Spain, so how that changes my journey I don't know. But I'm looking forward to finding out.
Please, tell us a little bit about your music.
When I'm writing a piece like this, I like to have a very clear mental image to write to, and the mental image that I have used for writing this piece is that of a very cold, frozen mountain lake. That may have something to do with the fact that I'm working in 35-degree heat here and wishing that I was somewhere near a cold mountain lake. I've tried to imagine 4 very brief fragments of time on this cold mountain lake during the course of a day, and the experiences that surround 4 ice fragments during those fragments of time. 4 icy fragments.
Wonderful. Our next composer is Richard Green. Richard has been writing music for the last 40 years. He composed his first piece at the age of 15. He's also a horn player who plays occasionally with chamber orchestras, and more importantly, he is a regular choir singer with the Birmingham Cathedral Choir, organization that also premiered some of his work. But let's hear a little bit from Richard. Hello, Richard. Very nice to hear from you. Very nice to have you today in the program. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your music.
In composing music, I'm interested in finding something interesting to say in my own terms, and in the hope that it might also mean something to some other people. In a sort of chronological order, I can think of having been influenced by Edmund Ross, Tchaikovsky, the Beatles, 18th and 19th century German music, Stravinsky especially, Bartok, Messiaen, Bach, of course, Volkenvogt, Monteverdi. I also try to think purely technically, although others then have usually thought of those things already. My first thought is usually about unity in a piece. I think all music is dance music, whether it moves a lot or very little. I might occasionally try to relate it to drama or poetry, but less so.
Tell us a little bit about your music.
On Generosity is my response to Kaya Sariaho's Set Papillon with its cello harmonics and other timbres in 7 short related movements. So I've got certain less commonly used harmonics on recorders in particular, and a small amount of muting and stopping on brass instruments. I found 4 aphorisms which provided me with ideas for the form. Do X because Y. 3 lines from the Buddha also have a repeating form, and these come after each of the other texts. The parts are pretty straightforward. I wanted to do most of the recording and all of the mixing within the time scale I had.
Our next composer is Martin Jones. Martin started studying music at the age of 5, composed his first music piece at the age of 8. By now, he has over 124 pieces of music in his catalog. He is a cello player and a double bass player and plays regularly with chamber orchestras in England. Very nice to have you here, Martin. Very nice to see you today. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about your music.
Hello, I'm Martin Jones and I'm the composer of Caterpillar tracks, which you're about to hear. I've been composing all my life, but it's only in the last 25 years or so that I've produced anything of which I'm particularly proud. As a cellist, bass player and pianist, I have heard and participated in many kinds of music. My favourite period is the first half of the 20th century, which was populated by such composers as Bartok, Janacek, Prokofiev, Stravinsky, Shostakovich, Honegger, Martinu.
Please tell us a little bit about your music.
I consider my own music stems from more or less all the music I have ever heard, which transforms inside me. Much as the butterfly develops from the pupa, I write music to be enjoyed by players and audiences alike. Since I retired from work many years ago now, I have been attending Sherborne composers workshops a number of times in the summer. Sylvia has always been there, and it's been a delight to work with her on a number of projects, including this one, of course. Reflections is an exciting new development, and I wish her every success.
Well, thank you, Martin. That was a wonderful comment And I certainly hope, yes, that Reflections turn out to be a wonderful program where we will have the opportunity to broadcast and disseminate a lot of wonderful music and present the work of a lot of artists and musicians. It's a wonderful place for reflection, for music, and the arts. Thank you for being here and enjoying it, and thank you for supporting it. Well, and in honor of this great opportunity, I would love to read to you this wonderful quote of Igor Stravinsky. We find ourselves confronted with a new logic of music that would have appeared unthinkable to the masters of the past. This new logic has opened our eyes to riches whose existence we never suspected. Igor Stravinsky. Our next composer is our dear maestro, Christian Wenzel. He is well known to the NewArtMusik community. He has worked with NewArtMusik in many projects as artistic director and conductor, have conducted for the NewArtMusik concerts in the United States, Spain, France, Austria. He has also experience conducting in Germany and England. He's been composing since a very young age, has a large repertoire of chamber music, orchestra music, vocal music, and piano music. Many of them performed and recorded, and has his music also performed in the United States, Spain, France, Austria, England, Germany, Ukraine, Switzerland, and Italy. Thank you for being with us today, Christian. Very nice to have you here today. Please tell us a little bit about your music.
My name is Christian Wenzel. I'm a German composer living in France, and my piece is called Micro Suite. It is a collection of 3 very short movements for guitar and piano, and micro they are in several ways. Firstly, the guitar is tuned down a quarter tone, together with the piano, which naturally stays in equal temperament. This creates microtonality. Secondly, each movement explores different aspects of this combination of instruments in a rather microscopic way. And thirdly, the pieces are micro in terms of length, none of them lasting longer than 2 minutes. Micro Suite for guitar and piano.
Well, I guess I have to talk a little bit about my music too. Briefly, I started music at the age of 3 and composed my first tiny little piece at the age of 5. By the age of 7, I wrote my little Mozartianas for piano, which is a small suite after Mozart. Always loved composing. My grand inspiration since the age of 3 was Chopin. So always thought I was going to be a pianist. Was very well defined about that. Have a great interest since a very young age trying to figure out how combine sounds together, how the sounds came together. And from that, it was born my interest on composition and on writing my own music. I remember myself at a very young age standing over the bench of the piano conducting to the Strauss waltzes. By now, I have over 105 pieces between music for piano, chamber music, chamber orchestra, and solo music. In addition to that, I have over 80 different works of music sculpturing or music installations, which I like to call the Klinger-Farbengraf collection, where I combine arts and music. I love writing music, and I have written over 150 different materials for music and education. For this special concert, I created a piece called the Edredon. An edredon is a Venezuelan blanket created with many little squares. Each square represents different memories, different experience, and usually the edredon passes from one generation to the next. For this special concert, given the special difficult times that we are all having with the COVID, I thought of creating a musical blanket, a musical edredon, and is created of different minimalistic musical materials. They all interact together in different ways and in unique different manners. The piece is for a large instrumentation, looking for different timbres and different interactions and different opportunities to listen. So I hope that you all enjoy. Well, this has been a wonderful opportunity. I am so happy to gather with all these composers, present to you all their wonderful work, and let you know a little bit about them. We will be having a wonderful concert, and you all need to be there because I think you really are going to enjoy that. For now, this is all. Stay safe, keep coming back, and have a wonderful afternoon. Happy Sunday. NewArtMusik TV.
Sponsored by Star Music Educational Materials and Digital Solutions. Marketally, Music and Art Royal Conservatory Online Institute. Genema Media Label Publishing and PR. Music and Art Royal Conservatory. Global Village as cooperative platform for online education. Noisylandia, land of music. Friends of New Art Music.